I'm here with the executive producer of Turbine, talk about his newest expansion, Mines of Moria. Give us your name and what you do there.
Sure, I'm Jeffrey Steefel. I'm the executive producer for Lord of the Rings Online for Turbine, and we're here to talk about Moria today.
So tell us a little about how this expansion changes the game and what you expect to see from the user base and what they should be excited about.
Yeah, well, we're really excited about it. First of all, this being our first expansion, but second of all, Moria itself is something that we've been talking about getting players into for a long time. Moria is the greatest underground space probably ever created in literature, and so we made sure that we created a place that felt that way. So this is clearly going to be the largest underground place that people have ever gone in any kind of RPG game, in terms of the verticality and the scope and size of it. It's also an underground dungeon space that is contiguous. So for the first time, players are going to be able to go in this giant underground space. You can walk from one end of it to the other. No zoning, no porting, nothing. It's one big landscape space underground. So very, very cool. In terms of the gameplay itself, first of all, the story, you're entering the Mines of Moria after the Fellowship has just passed through. So things are kind of crazy, stirred up there, the gates knocked down, and the local leadership in sort of the Dwarven society has asked you, the heroes of Eriador, to help them retake Moria, to restore it to its greatness, which is going to turn out to be a little bit more challenging than maybe they think. So along the way, you're going to encounter the Watcher in the Water and fight him a couple times. You're going to end up fighting with the Balrog, lots of these nameless creatures of the deep that Tolkien talks about, and all the warring factions of the white-handed orcs from Saruman's camp to Sauron's creatures that are in there. So lots and lots of things to encounter. In terms of the game, some pretty major changes. First of all, we're adding two significant new classes to the game, the Rune Keeper and the Warden. The Warden is kind of like a medium tank character, very much like the Haldir character in the books, somebody that's taking care of towns and gives you a whole new capability role in the game. Runekeeper is really the closest thing to a magic user that we have in the game. And, a lot of our players have been really concerned about, is that going to be Tolkien, is that going to feel right for the world? And we're very sure that this is going to feel appropriate for the world. It's kind of like being Galadriel in some respects. So you're really going to have a lot more capability to be both a heavy-duty healer and also heavy-duty kind of nuker, someone casting spells, and it's going to be really, really cool. But the coolest thing in the game is this new system that we're adding called the Legendary Item Advancement System. This, we think, is actually one of the coolest systems we've ever built as a company, and it's unique in the market. Don't think there's anything else quite like it out there. Basically, you're able to find items in the world that have legendary potential, and they become a part of your character build and your adventure through the world, and they can level up. And you can find special relics in the world that you can actually slot into those weapons, and they grow in power over time. So you can actually name them and make them this unique special weapon in the world. This is like your Sting or your Glamdring, that has a history and a legacy. It becomes a very powerful part of your advancement path. So on the one hand, it's like solo play for elder players. If you're level 50 or beyond and you really want to continue growing your character, but you don't have time or you don't want to get in big group raids all the time, this is an alternative. You can do this almost exclusively. It's an endless system. It has limitless possibilities. Finally, all the weapons that you have worked so hard to get, and the higher levels of level 1 to 50, all the raid sets and cool loot drops that you have that normally would sort of turn into junk when an expansion comes out, those are all things that can be broken down into relics that can be used for the item advancement system. So pretty much everything cool that you've gotten in the game is still valuable and able to be upgraded. So that's really, really cool.
You got some kind of disenchanting system in a way. Is that right?
In a little bit, yeah. But basically you take these weapons and you can identify them, figure out what they are, deconstruct them into the component parts. Then you have all these relics and characteristics. You go to a Forge Master, you forge them together, and then the weapon starts to advance, and it can actually gain XP and get a new level, and then you can assign new characteristics to it and slot new runes in, and it's a really cool system.
So the actual level cap, is it staying at 50, or are we going to see that go up at all? Or?
Yeah, it's going up to 60.
Yeah. Nice, okay.
So we have 10 new levels of content, 10 new levels of traits and deeds and skills, and every system in the game is impacted by it. Tons and tons of content. And a lot of new adventure instances too. The story instances that players have gotten really excited about in the game. So, 3-man instances, 6-man instances, we've got a new 12-person raid, a lot of cool adventure experiences that you can have in Moria and also outside.
So we're at gmod.com, and so one of the things we like to focus on is the mod community and what you guys are doing for user-created content and sharing of user-created content. Can you talk about that a little bit and your plans for that in the future?
Sure. Well, so Turbine in general knows how important that is, right? That's something we're focused on as a company, within our existing products and also going forward. Some of the products that we're talking about building now. In terms of Lord of the Rings, there's a couple things. First of all, we recognize the fact that our UI system, is not as moddable as we want it to be, and we have plans in place to actually work on that in a way that's going to allow players to do that sometime over the next year or so, and we'll be talking more about that soon. Second thing is just the customization that we try to put into the game in terms of, you know, the ability to have certain outfits, this item advancement system which allows you to create very unique stuff. In terms of creating actual specific user-generated content for Lord of the Rings, that's not something we're driving right now, but it's something we're exploring. You know, for lots of reasons, it's more complicated in a world that's so well known, but we know how important it is to people. There's also all kinds of user-created content. You know, the music system allows people to put bands together and play whole symphonies together. In some ways, that's user-created content. It's more like user-created behavior, you know? So, but there's definitely a world that we want to push through in all our products where we know there's people that like creating sort of what's going on in the world and what people are experiencing, and then there's people that like to come in and really just be entertained by it. The more we can support that relationship, you know, the better off things are going to be for everybody. So it's definitely a big focus for us.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for talking to us today. Anything else you want to end off on here for the mod community?
Just that we hope they're playing Lotro and they take a really close look at Moria. I think this is going to be an experience like they've never had before in any MMO, just in terms of the place they're going and the cool things they can do with the weapons and items like that. And that just, you know, keep giving us feedback and letting us know what's going to make it cooler, and we'll try to do the best we can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
So, thank you from gmod.com.